Hey everyone, this is Drogo. I'm Nightblade PCNA. The other day in the Dueling tournament, a lot of people were asking me afterwards what I was running during it. So instead of answering everyone individually, I figured I would just make a quick video. So here it is, and this is what I'm running. I'm running 5 Hundings, 2 Bloodspawn, and 5 7th Legion. I find Hundings and 7th Legion work really well together. They both give you a ton of weapon damage. Hundings is up 100% of the time. 7th is 10% chance when you're taking damage, and this procs pretty constantly when you're under fire. Bloodspawn is a really good set, although normally for open worlds or no CP battlegrounds I will run Troll King because the health recovery from that is just so strong. But Troll King is banned from tournaments for good reason, lots of stalemates, so Bloodspawn is what I use. It's a very close second. I run 3 weapon damage enchants and 3 Swift. Swift is just so strong. Mobility is life, and there's just no other trait that I think comes close to this one. I run 2 axes. I prefer the 16% bleed chance. I find it far more reliable than the 8%. There are times with 1 axe, 1 dagger where I just do not see the bleed go off, and I just feel like it's a waste and I don't like it. 16% I find very reliable, so I run 2 axes. I like powered on the back bar. I found that to give me the most heals, and this build is really all about having really strong heals. This is 5 medium and 2 heavy, and I use this build in duels, I use it in open world and no CP. It works for everything with minor changes for each one. I run about 3200 crit resist. I wouldn't recommend running under 3000 in a medium armor build, or you're going to be very squishy. You're already somewhat squishy. It's not too bad. There are ways to work around being less tanky, which I'll show you the way I do it. One of the ways is weapon crit. I'm at 55.8% unbuffed. I am a Khajiit, so that's why it seems very high, an extra 8%. Also, I have a 2 and 4 piece adding crit from Hundings, and a 4 piece adding crit from 7th Legion. So that's 3 crit bonuses, Khajiit crit, and I also run weapon crit pots, so 65.8%. And then when I deal damage, 68.9. So it's really high crit chance for PvP. And I know shields cannot be critted. A lot of people are running Impreg, but as a Nightblade you also have the assassination passive Hemorrhage, increasing your crit damage by 10% all the time. So even if your enemy is running Impreg, you're still going to do more damage than if it were not a crit. It's still going to be a damage buff. It's still very strong. Yeah, shields, it doesn't do anything to, but we're not only doing weapon crit for damage, we're also doing it for heals. The heals from that are really strong. And weapon damage with just rally is about 3700. Now if I proc Berserker, it goes up to 4300. Now if I can get 7th proc, I'll get some more enemies maybe. There we go, about 5,000 weapon damage. So 5,000 weapon damage with about 69% crit. So your heals are incredibly strong. I'll finish this guy off real quick. So my figures are critting for about 17, almost 1800, and this is just with Rally Up. This is without Berserker or 7th Legion's weapon damage. And you can see how much of that are crits at the top right. It's just constant. Like all the lighter green Rally and Vigors at the top. And that is really what is keeping me alive and what is making me able to run medium effectively. It's just all of those heals critting and keeping me up. In addition to Rally and Vigor is the 7th Legion heal, which is decent and it procs quite a bit when you have more than one enemy on you. I also have 1286 health recovery. This is with potion passive 20% up and the Khajiit racial bonus 20%. Now if I'm wearing Troll King like I usually do in Battlegrounds or Vivec, my health recovery hits like 4,000. It's pretty insane. And that combined with Rally and Vigor and Leeching on light attacks, and I have Temporal Guard on the back bar for 8% minor protection. It's really strong and it keeps you up. As for bars, these bars right here are what I use open world most often, solo, exactly like this. Leeching Strikes is my flex spot. A lot of the times I like to do this, use Shadow Image. Shadow Image is an incredibly powerful skill. It'll save your life constantly. It's really good. And for the tournament, I didn't use Cloak. I actually don't find Cloak to be that great 1 versus 1. I find the Minor Maim being up 100% and the ability to travel like that is just so strong. If the enemy is good, and when you cloak, he knows, he can kind of predict where you're going to go, and he can do any AoE to pull you out. And then you just kind of wasted a skill when you could have been healing or doing anything. Shadow Image is also really good against mag DKs because of their CC. It's just really good for kiting. And I've just found it to be more effective. As for CP, I do 43 Hardy and Ellie Defender for 10% in each, 48 into Thick Skin, 60 into Resistant, because like I said, anything below 3k, it's just a huge difference in feeling for me. I don't know why, but anything above 3k is just way different than like 2800. 66 Ironclad, 56 Mighty, 29 Piercing, 73 Precise Strikes. The reason I have this so high is because my crit chance was like 68%, so that means 68% of my damage and my heals are going to be affected by this tree. So very important to buff this up. 66 Master at Arms and 9 into Shattering Blows. You could probably put more in this if you want. Just a little extra damage against shields, since they can't be critted, and this build is kind of based around crit. But it is also because of the heals. Your weapon damage is also so high that you will melt shields combined with Rending Slashes and the Axe Bleed proc. 75 points also gives you the Butcher passive, and then 27 points into Blessed for a little extra healing since we do not have the 8% from Heavy Armor. Green Tree will probably be different tomorrow. I change it so much, so I'm just not going to say anything about it. So for duels, I usually use Killer's Blade. However, if I'm fighting a mag or a Stand Blade that likes to cloak a lot, I like to use Steel Tornado because it is just ridiculously effective against Nightblades who try to cloak. It's almost hilarious. You can just spam this and they will just keep trying to cloak, and it's really funny. And it's also is really good in general, like you can't dodge it, and it's a double execute. The skill itself, 100% more damage based on percent of their health missing, and dual wield passive slaughter right here. But against, say, like a Sork, if you got a Sork down to 10% health and they pop a shield, one Killer's Blade will probably go through that shield and kill them. Steel Tornado will probably not do that damage. So this is just really strong execute. As for group play, I will also always run Steel Tornado open world. I have fallen victim to the Tornado meta. It's just so strong. You can't not use it. It's really good. And I will also run Deadly Cloak if I'm in a group. The mitigation is really good. You become very tanky. Dawnbreaker, Dragon Leap, all those are AoE damage, so it will be mitigated by this. I also like to run Soul Tether lately. I know it's magic damage on a stamina tune, so it's probably really dumb. But it's actually quite good from my experience. It is a really strong stun. It's circular, so you don't need to be facing in a certain direction. You can just dodge roll in, Soul Tether, stun everybody, and you'll be healing so much combined with all your other heals and buffs that it'll be very hard to kill you. And then your group can go in and they can activate the synergy, and if any of them are using that jewelry enchant, or jewelry trait, I forget what it's called, like Harmony I believe, that synergy actually does a lot of damage and it heals your group. So I just find this to be pretty strong. You can also just run Dawnbreaker. I like this morph more for the passive weapon damage. I know the other one stuns and does a little more damage right off the bat, but I find other people in my group to be using that version of Dawnbreaker, so mine having a stun isn't as important. My weapon damage also goes incredibly high. I mean, it's 3922 without Berserker or 7th procced. I believe it hits around 56 or 5500. Somewhere around there. So your damage is really high, and Fear is also good for the group. I know Nightblades are not the best additions to groups, but I do a lot of damage. And another thing you can also do when I'm in group play is I like to put channel acceleration here. So I have minor force up with that mitigation, and you have the 10% crit bonus from your Nightblade passive, you have minor force, and you're at about 68% crit. So you're doing a shit ton of damage, and your weapon damage is incredibly high. So it works out pretty well. It's more just learning how to stay alive against the enemy's burst. I'm not amazing at it. I haven't done a ton of group play. I'm more of a solo player, but this is my bar setup when I do groups. And I think that is everything. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the build, and thanks for watching.